Hey everyone, welcome to today's feature for Destiny 2 Forsaken as part of our cover story where we'll be taking a look at different aspects of Destiny 2 all this month. Today we're going to be looking at one of the two new locations that you'll be able to explore. It's called the Tangled Shore. Leo, you were able to explore a little bit more of this location than I was, but what were your overall sort of immediate impressions of this world?
They've talked about wanting to make the tone of this game a lot darker. And the Tangled Shore, you definitely see that the most. It's very creepy. Look at those spooky mines.
Yeah, I'm spooked out a little bit too much right now.
Yeah, we should say kids are not allowed to watch this.
Yeah. So one of the things that feels like they could change is as you were exploring and doing different public events and
which we have gameplay of coming up.
Yeah, we'll be showing that off in a sec. It felt like there was always like this weird chatter, or not weird, but like there was always this constant chatter of like, hey, here's this very, like, on Nessus, and you were talking with the Exodus Crash Machine failsafe. There was always this very self-aware, like, oh, you're doing this again. Did you get the feeling that that was also going on here, or do you feel like there was the tone was a little bit more serious?
I didn't catch many jokes.
Okay.
Early in the story stuff, which they've talked about Cade 6's fate. I don't think we're spoiling anything they haven't spoiled by getting into that. But he's pretty much the only source of comedy, and then when he gets snuffed out, it feels like it suddenly becomes very serious.
Right. The tone of this area is a lot more somber overall.
Which I like.
Yeah.
I'm on board for that.
Yeah, I feel like they leaned into that hard in Destiny 2. Like, I think that was sort of a response to them being a little opaque about the storytelling in Destiny 1, and sort of that's how they filled it with substance, was sort of a lighter tone. But I did like sort of the sort of awe that the first Destiny had in its storytelling. Leo, this is one of the public events that are on the Tangled Shore. As you can see, we're kind of waiting for it to happen. But what are you packing here?
So this is the Trinity Ghoul. This is one of the new exotic bows.
Yeah.
Its gimmick is that when you hit a precision shot, your next shot is loaded with electricity, which you can see on the arrow. That means I hit a precision shot before, and now I can use this as kind of an AoE, because it took out all those guys at once.
That is pretty cool.
It is fun. And the bow, in general, shoots 3 shots rather than 1.
That's better than the one. So.
3 times better.
Yeah, at least.
And you can really use it to take out 3 guys at once if you line it up right. And it's based on how hard you pull it back, how long you pull it back, how tight the spread is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's really fun to use.
Yeah, and so now you're using a sword to sort of mop up here. But what exactly is this public event? What's going on right now?
So there is this escaped convict, this fugitive, who landed in this cryopod, and you want him to be dead instead of alive.
Oh, okay.
And so that's where your shooting comes in.
Oh, that's a good way to do that, yeah. And so he's coming to come out of this pod. You've got your super.
And there may be some surprises in store.
Fugitive Knight.
I don't know if that's the permanent name they're going with.
Yeah, I just be aware that this is a development build, so things could change. But overall, like, did they give you a sense of like, hey, you're going to be doing this after the campaign, or is it just in between sort of missions?
The Tangled Shore in general is kind of an in-between place. I'm sure you'll come back to it, but it's where you spend most of the campaign before you end up at the Dreaming City, if I'm not mistaken. So this seems like something you'll be doing while doing other things for the most part.
Right now, you're nailing all 3 of the precision shots here.
Yes, we did see a new super a second ago.
Yeah.
For this class.
Right.
And we're going more into that on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We've got a video and a written feature all about the supers. But yeah, I was doing like deflect move there.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. It's not the most sort of revamped. I think a lot of the supers they're getting basically brand new supers, but this feels more like a modification of the current super. Yeah. But I do like that it does force you to play that class a little bit differently, because basically the one issue that the Arcstrider super had was that if someone spotted you from a long ways away, they could basically take you out before you got to them. But
it's more defensive now.
Right.
Or can be.
One of the things I think that Destiny 2 is sort of my sort of loot shooter of choice is just the skyboxes and just the way everything looks. I think I really like sort of their mix of like weird fantasy and sci-fi that they've got going on here, and like you just see these like meteorites or whatever these like huge rock formations are just being tethered to like this feels like one big sort of discombobulated area that someone just put together randomly.
Yeah, and the lightning in the background.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It feels like this should not be a habitable space, but like they've basically wrung one together out of all this stuff.
Right.
I really like the way that a lot of this architecture looks. I like the sort of rounded edges with like spikes coming off, which is sort of like the whole Fallen aesthetic. But you can see that this kind of does hint towards the Scorn being part of the Fallen, but then sort of being heavily mutated in that way.
Right, like the middle ground.
Yeah.
The missing link.
Right. And I really do like these sort of tribal thing going on here. You can see this little guy up here. He's kind of doing his thing.
Yeah.
He's very angry, but he's doing his ritual.
He's the bard of the group.
Yeah, he's empowering them by singing his song.
Right. So we're looking at a lost sector here. You can see that little chest at the end. You know what's about to happen.
Yeah, we're going to get that chest.
Yeah, we are. Any second now.
There we go.
Yeah, Wolf's Dock.
So we've been using a lot of different guns here that we haven't really talked about just because most of these aren't exotics, but did you feel like these felt meaningfully different from what you've played?
You know, I think the biggest difference was the slot changes for me. Just being able to bring a shotgun. This actually isn't me playing, so I don't know how this person felt at this moment, actually. But being able to bring a shotgun and bring a sniper, it felt like you're immediately changing up the way you were playing so much. It felt so natural, though. It felt immediately like that's what you needed to happen.
So this is one of those chieftains, which, as you can see, was sort of throwing out their totems, which was this big sort of area denial thing that you don't really want to be a part of. And oh, by the way, here's the chest.
There's a chest. We did it. And there was a new super also.
There's also a new super from the Hunter, which is this the solar super, the new solar super, where he fires off a flurry of knives. And basically the thing that I saw that was kind of interesting is that he fires off 2 flurries, and I think they can both kill. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if you aim it right, you can basically nail 2 targets with sort of one super, which a lot of the single fire supers don't have that sort of customized ability to kill one target and then kill another. Like that's basically on opposite ends because they fire separately, so you can turn around and fire one in one direction and one in the other.
Yeah, you got to turn that sensitivity up.
Yeah,
pull that off.
No, everyone always plays at 10 because that's the most efficient, right? I don't do that.
Anything else is too slow.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're in another lost sector.
Yeah,
shipwreck.
Yeah, I mean, the lost sectors I think are really cool. They were a really cool idea of just here are these very hidden dungeons, and like this one I think specifically looks really nice just because you have that skybox and
they're upping the difficulty of these.
Yeah,
they're not for people who are just starting out anymore, right? They're like 240.
Yeah, so now they used to be sort of a throwaway activity, but they're bumping them up now. And they're actually making some significant changes to the way what you get out of them and how they work in Forsaken that we'll dive into in our next feature on Wednesday. But for now, we can enjoy this quick run through this lost sector. Which, lost sectors were a thing that I think were really fun, but they didn't really give you much.
Yeah, that seems like the main problem. Nobody had a problem with them in general, but it was just the lack of meaningful rewards for doing them.
And we'll be going more into on what they'll be doing to lost sectors in Forsaken soon. But I think the worlds that Destiny builds I think are super cool. Like they're one of the main reasons I still sort of persist, because even with something like, I know there are other like loot shooters out there like Warframe or the Division, but I think part of what makes Destiny 2 stand out in that regard is that I just like exploring these worlds that aren't sort of like here's New York or here's this random location. Like these feel like very beautiful spaces to explore, and the Tangled Shore looks really nice.
I love Warframe and I love the Division, but obviously neither of them have anything on the look of Destiny 2.
That is, I feel like the thing that sets Destiny apart in a lot of ways is the things you are actually looking at in a lot of ways I think are really cool. And the armor sets, obviously, but Tangled Shore, really cool location. Yeah,
we got one last lost sector here called the Saloon.
Yeah, this one's a little longer. Yeah, this one's a little longer. One of the things that like they kind of mentioned to us is how they wanted to have that darker tone that we mentioned earlier, but I still do like that they have this Western theme, but like this feels immediately like a very silly place of just like we called it a saloon and there's all these guys shooting at it, so it feels like this weird sort of Western shootout thing, but it is just another dungeon. There's not like a whole big theme to it, but
they really could have gone a goofy direction with the Western influences they're trying to bring into
that's what I was trying to say. It's just like they're adapting Western themes, but they're not sort of like they're not the gun string or anything like that, where they're kind of just playing the whole theme for laughs.
Pretty Western.
They're leaning into it really, really well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This area is like kind of interesting, just because like you're kind of, even if you could probably just run past all this stuff, but just the idea of seeing all these dogs in the cages.
Yeah, preparing for dogfighting, I believe, is what's going on here. That's what they're being kept for.
But yeah, and then having them all come out at the end, obviously.
Spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I was spoiling the thing that was happening on screen. But just the idea of them trying to do anything that is sort of that was like a minor hint of like horror there.
Yeah.
Even though it is this like huge power fantasy where you're gonna murder them at the end. Like you're not questioning whether or not
if they all get out, you could kill them in 10 seconds.
Yeah. But it's just that the fact that they even tried is kind of like interesting.
Yeah.
At all.
Sure. Now the big final battle.
Yeah.
With the Lost Sector.
Leo, how many saloons have you been to?
Oh God, in real life?
Yeah.
Are we calling any bar a saloon? Or is it like specific?
If the bar has saloon in its name, I think that counts.
There's a place called The Saloon.
Okay.
But the line was too long. So I didn't go in.
Did saloons have lines back in the day?
No, you could just walk right in those double doors.
That's how everyone did it. Like it never seemed like people were lining up.
Yeah.
So
well, there are fewer people.
That's true. But yeah, we're gonna cut to the boss here.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lost Sectors in general, I think were kind of underutilized in main Destiny, just because there wasn't. I mean, faction rallies I think provided you a good reason to go get them, just because they were a pretty consistent source of tokens. But you basically, whenever there wasn't a faction rally going on, you kind of just ignored them, unless there was on Mars. I know they had a couple of Lost Sectors you went back to find secrets and stuff. But it never
just the one milestone.
Yeah. You kind of, they felt like a thing you found once. It's like, oh, that's cool, and then you were just kind of done with them.
It's definitely in keeping with everything they have said they're trying to do with putting in more repeatable content.
Yeah.
And just making what's there more rewarding for repeating, because these are worth repeating. Yeah. They're all unique and cool.
Yeah, I was, this and Adventures I think are the two things that felt a little bit underutilized. But I'm glad that they're gonna do a little bit more, which we'll talk about on Wednesday. But yeah, for now, Tangled Shore, pretty cool place to explore. You'll be spending quite a bit of time here before you move on to the Dreaming City. So
that's right. We've got tons more gameplay.
That's right.
Throughout the month. More videos like this of us talking about what we got to play.
Yeah. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you.